Okay, so I'm going to speak today about some of Aberdeen City Council's collaboration activities, particularly in relation to the development of a hydrogen economy in Aberdeen City region. Aberdeen's got a long history of innovation and expertise in the energy industry, technologies, and going back to early industries like paper and textiles, which were powered by hydro, through to being at the centre of a global energy industry in oil and gas over the past 4 decades, and now leading the way in developing a low carbon economy with ambitious national targets. City Council recognises that hydrogen can support these targets and has a vision for Aberdeen City Region in 2020 being a world-class energy hub, leading a low-carbon economy and at the forefront of hydrogen technology in Europe. So why hydrogen? Well, hydrogen has got people quite excited all over the world from the point of view of energy security. The idea of being able to store energy that's produced from local renewable sources and store it for use whenever and wherever it's needed. It also helps to maximise the capacity of renewable energy sources. Sustainable economic growth, business development and diversification into the sector, and also reducing carbon. Hydrogen is an energy carrier with zero to near zero carbon footprint depending on how it's produced, and it has there are a range of production methods. Renewables like wind, solar, also can be produced from biogas and also as a byproduct from industrial processes. So that gives a sort of fair degree of fuel flexibility really in that sense. And where hydrogen is produced from fossil fuels, there's potential for the carbon there to be captured at the point of production, and then obviously if it's then used as a fuel in vehicles, for example, the vehicles themselves are not emitting any carbon, so there are benefits there. It's also safe to produce, store, transport and use, as long as the management of it and the planning and design of the technologies goes hand in hand with that. And it's been used for a long time in a range of different industries: food, health, food, metal, glass and chemical industries. And it's able to act as an energy buffer, helping to overcome the intermittency issues that you can have with renewable energy sources, and deliver grid balancing as well. And why is Aberdeen interested in it? Well, we want to reinforce the city's place as an energy city long into the future and be a leader in low carbon economy. I mentioned the ambitious targets that are in place for carbon. The EU has a target to reduce CO2 emissions by 20% by 2020. Scotland goes further than that with a 2020 target to reduce CO2 emissions by 42%. And also to generate the equivalent of 100% of electricity demand from renewable sources as well, and that's the highest target within the EU. Aberdeen City Council is developing transnational partnerships to develop a low carbon economy. We're either active or developing a number of partnerships currently, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about 2 of those projects in this presentation. The Council sees opportunities for hydrogen to support economic growth, inward investment, diversification from within the current energy industries, business development and job creation. In terms of supply chain development, diversifying the existing energy industry, as I said, providing long-term demand for the transferable oil and gas based skills and that we already have in this area, so to make sure that we're maximising those opportunities long into the future is seen as important. We also think that this area can help to increase the part that renewable energy can play in the energy mix as well, through the particularly through the energy storage aspects I mentioned. And importantly, air quality. All that fuel cell electric vehicles emit is water vapour, and with a number of air quality management areas in the city, this is something that's obviously very important, and the council certainly thinks that hydrogen technologies makes a lot of sense for Aberdeen. So this diagram shows the sort of concept for how hydrogen can fit into the energy system. The idea is that power that's produced from renewable sources take what's maybe produced when there's not the demand for it, or when there's more produced than is necessary at any one time. Add an electrolyser so that the electricity is used to split water into its components, hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen is then stored, and there's an option then and some work happening throughout the world. Well, Europe's got it, Germany and places like that have got some projects looking at how we can inject hydrogen directly into the gas network and thereby decarbonise the gas network. Or it can be, the hydrogen can be used in fuel cells for all sorts of different applications, from vehicles, cars, buses. It's highly used in North America already for forklifts. It's one of the first commercial uses of hydrogen applications. Shipping, stationary power for generators and things, agriculture, combined heat and power, and if need be, you can also obviously just use it to make it back into electricity and put that into the grid when the grid needs it or can take it. So there's lots of opportunities really. So the two projects I mentioned that I would talk about more, one is HYTREC, the Hydrogen Transport Economy, which is the project that I manage, and then I'll also talk a little bit about the Aberdeen Hydrogen Bus project, which a colleague of mine manages, and it's a EU 7th Framework Programme funded project, and also takes in funding from a wide range of public and private bodies. So HYTREC, it's part of the Interreg 4B North Sea region programme in the EU, and the aim of the project is to improve access to and advance the adoption of hydrogen as an alternative energy vector across the North Sea region. The map here shows where the partners in the project are located. Us obviously in Aberdeen, England, Belgium, Germany, Denmark, Sweden, and way up, a little dot there, way up north in Norway. There are 9 partners on the project across the 6 countries I mentioned. Aberdeen City Council is the lead partner on the project, which means that not only do we have a role as a project partner for delivery of the nuts and bolts of the project, the content of it, we're also the lead for the project management. So we have the responsibility to coordinate all activity amongst the partners, responsible for financial monitoring and reporting, quality control, and the general communications for the whole project. Gateshead College they're taking the lead on the skills element of the project, developing training packages and working with the other partners across the North Sea region to make links with their education providers and make sure that hydrogen is incorporated into curriculums and things at all different levels within education. Waterstoffnet are an organisation in Belgium who are leading a work package on strategy development for how to support the rollout of hydrogen technologies and see hydrogen corridors really take place throughout the North Sea region. So that involves looking at all the different standards and things, which I'll come on to that a little bit more. And also technology demonstration as part of the project that they're leading on. There's the European Institute for Innovation based in Germany who are leading a work package which is looking at evaluating and building in sustainability for these projects. And then we also have Hydrogen Sweden, a network organisation, and the SP Technical Research Institute in Sweden, Green Network in Denmark, and Narvik University College way up north of Norway. So the project is about facilitating transnational cooperation and learning. It's about enhancing the competitiveness of the North Sea region. Other parts of the globe, like North America and Asia, are very active in hydrogen technologies, and certainly some of these applications, they're much further on in the commercialisation end of the sector than we are in Europe. So we've got to make sure that Europe doesn't fall behind on this. And providing a platform for joined up working towards the strategy development across the whole of the region as well. So in parallel with the development of the North Sea region level strategic work that the project is doing, some of the partners in the project are also developing local or regional strategy for this area. Aberdeen is one who's doing that, and we produced this document which was launched at All Energy in Aberdeen in May. I didn't have enough of these copies left because they've been very popular, they've flown off the shelves really, to provide a copy for everyone here today, but you can download it online, or you can ask for one if you need one. The document sets a sort of high-level vision for how the Council sees hydrogen fitting into this region's economy, and sets some high-level actions for what to do next to achieve that. These are the sort of 4 themes that we've identified through the collaboration that we've done with the North Sea region partners. It's been a useful process to look at that at a high North Sea region level, and then find that in actual fact a lot of what we're coming up with and the issues, the barriers that we've looked at to how to roll out the technologies further also apply in this region or apply in any of our regions. So it's been relatively easy to apply the same sort of logic that we've worked on at that level to a local level as well. And the sorts of things that we have identified are the policy and regulation side. A lot of it's new technologies, so there's active work going on with developing the standards, ISO standards and everything for these different elements of technology, and the fuel and the purities and all these sorts of things that go into it. The communication and education side, public acceptance of new technologies is a crucial one. We often come up against sort of perceptions about safety with hydrogen. I think when you talk about hydrogen, often people talk about things like Hindenburg, because they have an image in their head of a very powerful image of something that, an incident that they associate with hydrogen, where if you actually look at the detail, there's a lot more to it than that. And we found that, I'll mention it in the next example of the project, how health and safety planning and almost taking a belts and braces approach to make sure that everyone is in the loop and everyone is completely confident with the processes, because a lot of it is new. That's a really important part of the project and working together. Finance and economics, although the public funding is usually needed in the initial periods for new technologies, for priming and making these things happen, we have an eye on the commercialisation end, obviously, and that's really the ultimate goal. So checking really what needs to happen for this for the commercialisation to be possible. And infrastructure and applications, it's quite a sort of chicken and egg situation where, for the transport sector, you're not likely to have hydrogen fuel cell vehicles appearing on roads if there's not the refuelling infrastructure to support them, but you're not likely to have investment going into refuelling infrastructure if there's not the vehicles. So it's got to be very carefully planned to make sure that they all happen at once. And the project that I'm coming on to, the Aberdeen Hydrogen Bus project, is one way for that it's one way to support that happening, because it involves the application, the buses, and refuelling at the same time. So the Aberdeen Hydrogen Bus project, it's essentially a large transport demonstration project looking to build on the learning from earlier demonstration projects across the EU and contribute to the environmental and economic case for incorporating hydrogen technologies into cities in the future. It's a 20 million bus demonstration project. It will be Europe's largest fleet of hydrogen fuel cell vehicles, buses rather, And it's about testing technology, testing the fuel cell technology, and looking at comparisons between the fuel cell technology and the diesel equivalents. And then also investigating the economic and environmental impacts of this work. The project itself, the Aberdeen Hydrogen Bus Project, is made up of two EU-funded projects. They're called High Velocity and High Transit. They come through the Framework 7 programme in the EU, but there's a wide range of other partners, which I'll show in the next slide, that are contributing towards the cost and the learning through the project. It will see 10 hydrogen fuel cell buses operate in the city, and the first of them will start to arrive early next year. There will also be a state-of-the-art hydrogen refuelling station, which will be built in the city centre at the council depot at Kitty Brewster, and it's due to be complete around the middle of next year. There will also be a maintenance facility for the buses, and there will be hydrogen produced on site through electrolysis. The use of the hydrogen for storage means that it's helping to manage electrical grid constraints, and that will all be looked at, and the success of that will be studied as part of the project, so that it provides plays a greater role really in the relationship between hydrogen storage and hydrogen and energy storage, supporting renewable energy. So this slide shows the logos for the partners on the project. There are quite a few, so obviously collaboration is a key in this project really, and it brings its own challenges with it, the fact that there are such a diverse group on the project, but in saying that, it's a huge value to the project as well, because there is such diversity in the experts involved, and the sort of all aspects of the sector are covered here. Aberdeen City Council, obviously there as a partner. BOC, part of the Linde Group, is providing the hydrogen supply in the refuelling station. Scottish Southern Energy are interested in the grid balancing aspect. Van Hoel from Belgium are manufacturing the buses, and then there's First Group and Stagecoach are both going to be operating some of the buses involved as well. And then AREG are also a partner on the project, and Ian will be speaking later. This image just shows a graphic of what the refuelling station will look like at Kitty Brewster. It's got the electrolyzers on site, and then the storage and dispensing of the hydrogen as well. And then that's what the bus will look like. So the project at the moment, this lists some of the key work streams involved in the hydrogen bus project. Planning, the refuelling station has planning consent already and is due to be operational around the middle of next year. Planning application for the hydrogen production on site is going to be submitted in the next couple of weeks, I think. It's been done separately because there was a scope change in the project due to the funding makeup changing slightly. So I think that's fairly common really in big complex projects like this. It has to be a degree of flexibility and a bit of understanding from the different partners to be able to change and be dynamic enough to accept that things can't be fixed from the word go really, and we have to be able to move to accept that. Planning for the operational phase is also ongoing. There's things like bus driver training, health and safety assessments to be done, adapting the procedures on site because it's going to be going into an active council depot just now with staff already working there and continuing to work there. So there'll be staff training as well, technicians and things, and then data logging to satisfy the different funding streams that are involved as well. Health and safety, mentioned this before in terms of the approach to sort of taking a belts and braces approach to make sure that we're raising the confidence of the different people involved. So for example, emergency services to health and safety advisors and staff and so on, many of whom probably won't have had to deal with hydrogen before in this sort of situation, if at all. So it's important, obviously, they have comfort that they know the systems are in place that to manage any risks appropriately. Procurement, the buses will start to arrive early next year, and major items to be bought, and timing of that obviously has to be planned out. Marketing, communications, there's some work going on just now in terms of communications of branding, the bus launch and PR and so on. And then meeting the funding deliverables in terms of data capture and monitoring analysis and so on, and project reporting as well to satisfy the funding requirements. So this is the contact details for my colleague Emma, who's the project manager for the bus project. And then I've just, looks like there's a lot of text there, but it's basically a couple of quotes from, there's one from Councillor Barney Crockett, the leader of Aberdeen City Council, and one from Ed Davey, the Secretary of State for Energy and Climate Change, who at All Energy this year, they both launched this document, the Hydrogen Strategy for Aberdeen City Region. So this sort of shows the political support that there is for this area of work, and the acknowledgement that there is this potential for hydrogen to play a role in the renewable sector and energy mix. The support that's been shown has not only been for the achievements of the projects themselves, but also the approach that's been taken to these projects in terms of the collaboration and public and private sectors working together across national boundaries, not just within any one country. And then the final slide here, just to show, well, the council believes that there's a great potential for the city in this area, and that the full commercialisation is the ultimate goal, really. It's not just to be using public funding for demonstration projects, and that working in isolation is unlikely to achieve this. We see that cooperation is really the key. The council has a lot of experience of working in collaboration with partners across Europe and beyond, really, and we see this as the way to go, really. The example here with the pictures, First Bus and Stagecoach, obviously key competitors of each other, but they're both involved in the one project and collaborating together, because I think everyone realises that collaboration is necessary to enable competition later. So Aberdeen has set out this vision and is working across all sectors to try to realise this, and keen to lead the future development of a low carbon economy. So, thank you. Any questions?